So everyone, we've got some new reward apps that have hit the market. First review for today is on Money Dice. It's very interesting to see where reward apps have headed in 2026 because there are so many of these apps now. This is what it looks like when you first launch it up. So at the top of the screen, we have our coin-based balance, our cash-based balance, as well as our 3-hour timer and supposed PayPal currency. Now underneath that, you have the actual playing board area, where of course your goal is to actually make your way around the board. So bottom right corner of the screen, if you tap the spin button, it's obviously going to roll the dice, and then your character's going to move around. Now, at least every single 1 to 2 moves, you're going to get a pop-up appear trying to get you to watch an advertisement. This is how these apps work, obviously. But then pop-ups will appear either way, forcing an advertisement. It's essentially just full of mini games, which is fine if you go into it with realistic expectations, okay? These type of like gaming applications all have the same concept. Watch ads in return for a fraction of revenue from the developers. At least that's my theory. Now, you will get to the point though where you can actually multiply the in-game cash, which is all you really care about, by of course watching more ads. So let's do that now. One thing I will say is that I do actually like the whole element of the game. It kind of reminds me of Monopoly in a way, where each section will give you a certain mini game or a pop-up to try and get more of that in-game currency. So now that you understand the concept of the app, let me just break down my test for today's video. I started off the test with 25 of the in-game currency in my balance and 2 hours and 24 minutes on the timer. I played for a little over 30 minutes and I managed to generate 6,830 of the in-game currency, and that converted into 11 cents worth of USD, which is actually on the higher end for this style of app. So that was a bit cool to see. And what I will say, everyone, is that yes, I did withdraw that 11 cents worth of USD and it did arrive to my PayPal account without any issues whatsoever. Straight away, by the way, which was awesome. Now there is a reward section as well if you just want to watch advertisements, but I prefer the little mini games and actually playing the app. So that's my review on Money Dice. A very basic style of reward app, but at least now you know about it. So you can do whatever you want with the information. Let's move on to the next app. Next up, we have CashTiger. So CashTiger is an interesting one, everyone, because it runs on a playtime reward system and a coin-based currency. So this is what it looks like when you launch it up. Top of the screen, of course, you have your account balance. And checking out the cash out options, at least here in Australia, the minimum cash out for PayPal currency is 1 single cent for 140 of the in-game currency. Now, the only issue with this, everyone, while there is a ton of different minimum thresholds, I found that at least in Australia, the rates for CashTiger and a majority of Playwell apps are very, very low. And I'll explain what I mean. So heading over to their Playtime Rewards section is going to reveal the amount of games that I have in my country, which at the moment is only 1. Now you will notice there is a promotion running, which gives me 1.5 times the regular amount of points. But you'll notice pretty quickly, this is a task-based offer, everyone, which obviously means you have to go through and complete the levels. And while there's nothing inherently wrong with that, what ends up happening is that you'd be better off spending a lot more time on other offer walls for much higher prices, at least in my opinion, here in Australia. Like this food store offer is only going to give us 124,000 of the coins, and that's with the promotion. Without the promotion, it's only 82,000 of the coins, which 82,000 points only converts into $7 worth of currency. Whereas with the promotion, we're not even getting $12 worth of currency. And you can see how difficult the offer actually is, with the majority of the coins being earned at the harder levels, such as 580 games later. For today's video though, I did play a game called Arrow Maze, and something I will mention as well with the Playwell apps, their advertising really has been using a lot of my scripts and my style of content for their AI guy that they're using, or perhaps their paid actor, I don't know. It's quite a strange situation, so I'm hoping they switch that up completely, or they can reach out for a sponsorship. But a positive thing to say is that the games they have on their Playtime Rewards are very simple to play. In fact, very casual based. So I went through and completed 60 levels, everyone, and only generated 2,915 of the coins, which was a little bit over 20 cents. But what I will say, everyone, is that yes, I did withdraw my currency 2 times, 1 cent and 20 cents, and both arrived straight away to my PayPal account with any issues. The only problem is in some countries you may need to do a selfie verification, so please keep that in mind. Which for that little of currency, I definitely don't agree with at all. Anyway, that's my review on CashTiger. Now I'm almost certain someone from Playwell is watching my video, so I'm hoping that you guys increase your rates, especially here in Australia, because that is pretty rough at the moment. But it's definitely not a bad idea by any means. At least now you know about CashTiger. Let's move on to the next app. Just quickly, everyone, if you enjoyed what I do here on YouTube every single week, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Bitcoin Club. A few developers are actually making these type of apps anymore, and they're like flooding the Play Store, everyone, which is not always a bad thing, especially if you're like using multiple phones, but I miss the days where we had big get paid to platforms. We just don't see that anymore. Either way, this is Bitcoin Club. And as you can see, there's quite a bit going on, but let me just break it down for you. Top of the screen, you have all your in-game currencies, as well as your account level, and your various goals, and of course, your extra chests that you can claim. I'm sure you guys understand the concept of the chest system. Literally just gives you in-game currency rewards for the progress that you make, or if you watch an ad. That's because you can upgrade your staff and, your managers, etc. on Bitcoin Club. You run a club and essentially upgrade and keep on upgrading your club bit by bit to make it more powerful. For instance, I want to purchase a new table there, and there you go, done. Each table has their own individual level, and of course you upgrade it to make it generate more of the currency for yourself. It's actually a very in-depth game, everyone, the more you break it down. Now, what I will say, in my opinion, the more boosts and ads that you watch, the better of the currency you're going to get in return. And that's because on the left side of the screen, you'll find your Satoshi balance. That's right, everyone, we have another Satoshi play and earn type of application. Let me just break down today's test on it. I, of course, started off with 0 Satoshi in the balance. I played for an hour straight and generated 38 Satoshi. And yes, everyone, I am happy to say I did withdraw that 38 Satoshi, and it went straight to my Zebedee wallet. It arrived to the Zebedee wallet straight away without any issues whatsoever. So in theory, everyone, that exchanged into 3 cents worth of USD currency of Satoshi for an hour of my time. And you see, that's the biggest problem I have with these little play to earn style of apps. I just don't feel like the reward ratio is there for the time needed. But again, you can do whatever you want. You might have a specific need, like stacking Satoshis, for instance, to use these style of apps. Bitcoin Club to me is a very interesting concept, everyone, and it could be something very fun. At least now you understand what it's all about, and that's my review on Bitcoin Club. Let's move on to the next app. Next up, we have Money Dash. Now, this is what Money Dash looks like when you launch it up. At the top of the screen, we have our current level, coins for upgrades, and our in-game currency of cash. Now, as you can see, it looks pretty interesting, everyone, okay? You're literally using little casino chips as your character, and you're wheeling them across the map here. You'll notice that you have upgrades in the middle of the screen as well, of course. But now, tapping on that cash-based currency will bring you to the cash out screen. Here you can see the minimum amount here in Australia is 1 cent worth of USD for 10,000 of the in-game currency of cash, whereas 10 cents is 100,000 of the cash. And that's how you can break down the currency, everyone. Very straightforward. So looking at the actual game itself, you'll notice here it really is very easy to understand, okay? Just avoid the big hazards while collecting the big pickups. Now, you really couldn't ask for a more simple experience than this when it comes to one of these little play to earn style of applications, okay? And once you get to the end of the level, you then hit the multiplier. And at this point, it's going to play an ad no matter what you choose, so get ready for that. But then you have the option to watch even more advertisements to increase that in-game currency. So right now I can get 3,800 of the cash, or I can continue to watch ads. And remembering that 1 cent is obviously 10k of that currency, you can imagine how many ads you're going to have to actually watch. But not the worst we've ever seen, by the way. And realistically, that is all there is to it, okay? So let me just break down today's test. I started off, of course, on level 1 and 0 currency in the balance. I had to play for 2 hours straight, everyone, to generate 10 cents worth of USD currency of a withdrawal. And I am happy to say I withdrew that 10 cents worth of USD, and it did arrive to my PayPal account straight away here in Australia and in my experience. So at the end of the day, as always, do whatever you want with that information, all right? That's my review on Money Dash. Check out my channel for almost 1,000 reviews. Stay safe out there. Catch you next time.